Hi, my name is Gina, and I have not wanted a mainstream palette release for a really long time. Until now. So let me just cut straight to the chase. I really want the Norvina collection from Anastasia Beverly Hills, which is super fascinating because it wasn't 2 months ago where I stated for the world that I would never buy another Anastasia palette ever again. But if you've been paying attention at all, you know that the Norvina collection is actually very different than the regular Anastasia palettes. The standard Anastasia palette format is, I think, 14 pans that are basically microscopic. Actually, I have one that I've depotted. Give me 1 second. This is a pan from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. It is the standard pan size for her 14 pan palettes. It is about 3/4 of an inch square and incredibly shallow. For comparison, this is an eyeshadow that I took from another square panned palette and repressed into a standard 26mm pan. This one is from the Ace Beauté Paradise Fallen palette, and I didn't even try to repress my Anastasia ones because there's so little product in here. If you calculate the price per gram for Anastasia Beverly Hills regular eyeshadow palettes, it comes out to about $5 per gram, which at the time that I calculated it was the third most expensive formula in the entire industry. Now, I like Anastasia's matte formula. I don't love her shimmer formula, but I really like her matte formula, but not enough to pay $5 per gram for it. And especially considering since I can't repan any of them because there's just not enough, I decided to get rid of actually all of my Anastasia pans except this one because I don't have a color dupe or anything close to it. This is Rowdy, and I swore off ABH shadows forever, or so I thought. And then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And I'm actually gonna scoot over because we're going to be talking about some stuff that I'm gonna be putting on screen. So I'm just gonna slide on over. So if you've been sleeping under a rock, Anastasia Beverly Hills released 3 eyeshadow palettes within the span of 2 months, and they're all very large eyeshadow palettes. I was actually vaguely interested in volume 1 for the purples. I don't know if I've expressed it on the channel yet, but I'm attempting to grow my purples collection. And then I found out that not only are these pans gigantic, but they actually have about 1.8 grams of product per pan, which is roughly the size of a single eyeshadow. With these 3 palettes releasing at 1.8 grams per shadow and 25 shadows in each palette, that comes down to about $1.33 per gram. That's a steal. That's great, especially because I've been seeing swatches and tutorials with these where it looks fucking great. The mattes look so opaque. People are saying that this is like even better than Anastasia's regular matte formula, and I am so here for that. And then on top of that, these are bright and colorful eyeshadows, which a lot of these I don't already have. Like all of those bright greens, I don't have any of them. So I want these. I want these real bad, like real bad. But they are $60 each, and the more I looked at them, the more I was like, I feel like there are probably some shades that overlap. So even at, $1.33 per gram for an outstanding formula, I don't know if it's worth $180 to pick up all 3 of them, which I would then have to repan all of them into circular pans, and that's a lot of work. If for whatever reason you're new to my channel or you didn't already know, I repress all of my eyeshadows into 26mm pans so that I have a generally uniform workspace to do my artistry in. And that's really important to me. So whenever I look into buying a palette, I know that I'm going to have to either depot it or repress all of the shades. So when I am looking at a release like this, which has 75 shades in it, I need to be real damn sure that it's gonna add to my life, to my collection, add to my joy. And so that's what I decided to do. I wanted to do a little bit of sleuthing, and that's what we're gonna be talking about today. So I took Timtalia. If you don't know who Timtalia is, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but Timtalia is basically a website, a blog that uploads super high quality swatches, product shots, comparison shots. She does demos. She does really comprehensive and standardized reviews, which is super helpful to all of us out here in the makeup community. Christine, if you're watching this, thank you for the work that you do. Christine has actually photos of the eyeshadow pans. Like if you go to Timtalia and you look at the Anastasia or the Norvina collection palettes, she actually has individual pictures of the palettes straight down, and then she also has images of the pans. Like if you're looking at the product, just the product in the pan, and they're all labeled. So super helpful, super helpful. So I took all of those, pulled them up into Photoshop and arranged them by color. I actually made an Instagram video of it, which you can check out on my Instagram, which is Faces by Gina. So I have a time lapse of me sorting all of those colors. It's pretty awesome. After I did all of that, this is what it looked like. This is all of the colors of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Norvina collection palettes, all three of them sorted by colors. So I've got this up on my phone here. So when I did this, I was like, wow, there's a lot of overlap. And the overlap, which really shouldn't surprise anybody, it's mostly in the warm tones. It's mostly in the reds, in the corals and peaches. And we're actually gonna break that down more specifically. So after I did that color sorting, I actually went through and sorted them by color family and then went in and tried to find like actual dupes. So if you are looking at the true reds, there are two sets of 2 dupes, which is C5 from the volume 1 and E2 from volume 3. And then C5 from 2, E5 from 1, and a C4 from 3 are all basically the same color. Then on top of that, all 5 of those are probably functionally dupes. So that even though like dupe set number 1 is slightly warmer than dupe set number 2, they all probably perform the same way on the eyes. I don't think that there's enough difference in the warmth that it would make a huge impact on like what you could blend it with or not blend it with. I do think that they're functionally all the same, even though I did list them as different dupes. Something that is telling about that is that volume 1 has that functional dupe within itself, as does volume 3. They both have 2 of that warm, dark burgundy shade. It's more maroon than burgundy, really. And so I was like, meh. In addition, on top of all of that, I have that color several times over. I love that color. That color is so useful to have, and I think I have more than one of it because it is so useful. And I will cop to it's useful to have slight variations of it. But I don't think you need 5 of them. The red oranges didn't have as much in the way of identical dupes, although I will say C2 from volume 3 and E4 from volume 1 are also basically the same. C2 is a little bit darker and a little bit more orange, but that's about it. They're probably basically the same. Then with the true oranges, there were 2 dupe sets in there, although A2 in volume 3 could probably be a functional dupe for dupe set 1, which is A5 of volume 3 and D2 of volume 3, or I'm sorry, volume 2. All 3 of the yellows are basically the same. There are 2 like warm teals that are essentially the same between volume 2 and 3. None of the warm greens overlap, which was not helpful to me because that's what I'm super excited about. Then, interestingly, 2 of the blues are probably functional dupes. That's why I listed them together. And they're both in volume 2. So C2 and B5 are not identical dupes. No, they're not. But they're probably functionally the same. There are no dupes in the purples, which is what I would expect, what I would hope. Then the pinks actually duped up way more than I thought, where volume 3 and volume 1 both have the same like mid-tone mauve, and volume 2 and volume 1 also have a very similar shimmery pink as well. There are also 2 blacks across. I believe volume 1 and volume 2 both have a matte black. So what I thought was the most interesting and the most helpful, at least to me, was that I did image sets of each. So I took my big list of colors listed all out, and I grouped them in Photoshop by palette. And then I could turn off layers and hide certain layers so that I could see the color spread of each pairing of palettes. So if you wanted to get, if I wanted to get more than one, what would that get me? So volume 1 and 2 get you a pretty decent range, although there's a big gap in colors that I care about, which are greens and yellows. But you probably, between volume 1 and 2, probably have a pretty good rainbow order from reds into oranges all the way down to the purples. Volume 1 and 3, actually when I did this on Instagram, I was really surprised by the number of people who are like, I want 1 and 3, I want 1 and 3. Because when I look at it, that's the one that seems to have the most overlap and the most dupes in it. Volume 3 is very orange and very green, and those oranges and reds are really important if you want to blend out and pair with things like the blues and the purples from volume 1. So when I look at this, I say like, I definitely don't want volumes 1 and 3. There's not enough of a smooth color gradient. There are big gaps, and there's way too much overlap between the 2 of them. But apparently not everybody felt the same way. I'm gonna rotate back this way so that I'm looking at you and not at my phone. Well, if I'm looking at my phone, at least I'm forward facing. Then the one that calls to my heart is actually the set of volume 2 and 3, which it is really heavy in the reds and oranges, where I don't really need a lot of shadows in those color families. I just don't, but it has the smoother gradient of yellows and greens and blues, which I don't really need more yellow either, but I really love green and blue, and those are 2 areas that I'm trying to expand my collection in. I absolutely would miss out on the purples in volume 1, which are supposed to be really good. But at the same time, a lot of them are really warm purples. There are a few indigos in volume 1 that I would certainly be very interested in, but it's not enough to pick up a $60 palette. So for me, I'm most interested in volumes 2 and 3, and I will probably eventually pick those up. So the reason why I took this project on, the reason why I did this is because I was like looking at swatches, I was looking at reviews, I was doing that thing that you really shouldn't do when you're on like a no buy or a low buy, and I just like really went hard in researching and seeing what people thought about this, and from what I can tell, people universally love them. And so knowing that I shouldn't have done that, I did it anyway and was really, really wanting it. And I'm not in work at the moment, and I'm in a place where I actually need to be replacing all, if not most, of my clothing because it's all now too big for me. And then in addition to that, I am on a break from eyeshadow until the holidays because I just bought like almost 150 single shades as well. So despite the fact that I haven't wanted a release this much in a really long time, any release, let alone a mainstream release, it's definitely something that I couldn't do, but that pull and that temptation was really strong. So I started doing this project as a way to kind of interact with the release, and that really helped. That really helped loosen some of my like death grip on the desire to want this. And then something else that really helped was that like I said, one of the things that really, really, really appeals to me about this release is how much product you're getting. You're getting a shit ton of product. And I recently discovered that another brand who has a matte formula that is really well loved and respected also has huge pans. You get a lot of product per pan, and that is Menagerie Cosmetics. And I discovered this actually just like yesterday. I need to sit up. I actually discovered like yesterday that Menagerie, their pans are like 2 grams each in the palettes, not the singles, the palettes. And so I was like, well, I can maybe get volumes 2 and 3 when I'm ready for them. And then for those purples that I'm missing, I'm gonna get the Violet Ink palette because those are supposed to be really, really good. So with all of that said, I have been really struggling with like this desire to go out and purchase these things that I am not ready to own. I think that's probably the best way to put it. I am not ready to add more eyeshadow into my collection right now, and I'm also like not in a financial place to own it. I'm actually gonna scoot back into the middle of the frame. I think I will be, and when I am ready for them, I hope I will still feel as passionate about it as I do now, and that I think I will get a lot of use out of most of those colors, which I think that I will. But I'm just not ready to buy them right now, and that's okay. Just because I'm going to buy them eventually doesn't mean that it's a good idea to buy them right now. And I think too, something to remind myself of is that even if they do go out of stock, it's not like those colors are gone forever, right? It's not like I can't find those colors either now or in the future from other brands, which I think that, especially as these palettes release, I think that we will find that other brands, especially brands that have formulas that I do like, will release those colors, and there will be other opportunities. I plan to have a very long life of makeup, and nothing is gone forever. So I hope that that was helpful. Like I said, I did those videos for Instagram, and I think there's a pretty big overlap between people who are subscribed to me here and people who follow me on Instagram. But just in case there isn't, I figured I'd go ahead and add some content here on YouTube as well to hopefully help people kind of make good decisions about what they're ready for and what they can absorb into their life right now. This is very much a part of my channel's ethos of like, you can have as much as you want as long as it continues to make you happy. And if you buy a lot of stuff that you're not ready to own yet, that can very much like decrease your joy in it. Even if just waiting a month or two, you're then ready for it and you'll be more joyful when you get it. So I hope that was helpful for you. If it was, or even if it wasn't, let me know down below in the comments. I'd really like to talk to people about this. I'm still not tired of talking about the Norvina collection, so please feel free to talk to me about it and we can discuss. If you like me and my flowing red hair, please do also subscribe to the channel. My uploads are a little bit inconsistent at the moment, but in general, you can at least expect one video a week. You can find me on the internet at Faces by Gina. I have an Instagram and a Facebook where I upload every single day. including fun little mini videos. I hope that you're having a great day no matter where you are, and please remember to think deeply and critically about the world around you, and be good to yourself and be good to other people as well. I'll see you out there on the internet. Bye.